Zero Waste Communities is a proud supporter of Curiosity Quest and the effort to keep the environment sustainable for generations to come.
Howdy there, partners. On today's episode of Curiosity Quest Goes Green, we are going to go farming. Hey there, I'm Joel Greene, the host of Curiosity Quest Goes Green, the show that explores what you, the viewer, are curious about. You think I'm kidding about farming? I'm not, but it's a different kind of farming, farming you've never seen before in your life. I got a letter from Taylor in Fontana, California. Taylor wrote, "Dear Joel, I'm curious, how do they make homemade fertilizer from food and grass clippings?" Well, Taylor, because of you, we have made our way all the way out here to Yermo, California, in the middle of the desert, where we're gonna go farming. But not just any type of farming, we're gonna go worm farming. So let's get started on today's Curiosity Quest Goes Green. All right, so I began my worm farming experience here with Larry Staggs, the owner of Stagg Worm Farm. So tell us a little bit about your place.
Okay, this is a worm farm in Yermo, and we're going to show you today how we raise them, how we harvest them, how we ship them, and we have them for kids in smaller boxes, show them what they eat and how to raise them in these plastic boxes.
Wow, so we're really going to be worm farmers.
That's right, you're going to be worm farmers.
It sounds kind of funny when you say, I'm going to go farming today, worm farming today, huh?
You can do it on any kind of scale you want. You can do it in your backyard, and it's a lot of fun for kids to do.
Cool, we're going to be worm farmers, so sit tight. In fact, tell me a little bit what you think worm farming is all about. Why would you farm for worms?
Give some food to them to grow, right?
For fishing?
For good soil.
They make holes in the ground, then water and oxygen can flow down into the roots of the plants.
Worms, they help with soil and you can make it better and help grow crops.
When we farm, we dig up the soil, and so then the worms can dig deeper down and make the soil more nutrients.
Larry, why do you farm for worms?
Well, I just like to do it. It's a lot of fun, and it's good for kids, and plus that's how I make a living. Here's what they look like right here. There's literally millions, millions and millions of worms in here.
No kidding.
There's no male or female, and they lay their eggs, and they're laying eggs right now, or actually it's a capsule. And some of them won't hatch out till it warms up, but they're just going all the time, and we're constantly feed them.
So, but what's the reason? I mean, besides making a living here, what's the reason why we're farming worms?
Well, worms help the whole planet. Instead of taking all the trash, putting it in the landfill, the worms eat it, turn it into worm castings, which is an excellent plant food, and it's all natural, organic. In a hungry world, you got food for plants, and you're not wasting everything, burying it in the landfill.
By us taking grass clippings and food from our houses or food from school cafeterias or wherever the food comes from, these worms are going to...
They convert it into plant food, and look, the plants speak for themselves out here, and everybody that tries them knows that it really works good. Plus, we're not wasting. It took Mother Nature a long time to make all this stuff. Instead of burying it in the landfill, nobody gets any benefit out of it.
Yeah.
And this way, everybody benefits from it.
How do you farm for, I mean, how do you?
Well, basically you just take manure and make a bed here. You can make long windrows are better, but put your manure 12, 14 inches, soak it down, put your worms in and let them just start doing their thing. They start eating it. They eat their own weight every 24 hours and they start laying their capsules.
Wait, whoa. You're telling me if a worm's 1 pound in that 24-hour period, the worm will eat 1 pound?
Yeah, about 1,000 worms per pound, and they'll eat their own weight every 24 hours.
Think about that. If you weigh 100 pounds, that'd be like eating 100 pounds every day.
Fun fact, fun fact, fun fact. Here's your fun fact. Did you know a worm has no arms, no legs, and no eyes?
We can again see them just by, how many worms do you figure is in this huge bed right here?
There's probably, I don't know, maybe 1 million or so. because they're hatching out right, and there's a lot of babies in there. And the big ones are about 1,000 per pound, but you can see the white ones. See all the little white ones right here?
Yeah.
They just hatched out of the capsules there.
Oh, the little tiny ones here. Oh, I see.
Here, that's the ring,
Okay.
and that's the head there, okay? When they get that ring, they're a breeder.
Okay.
And you can see some of the babies that have hatched out that are white when they first hatch out.
Yeah, I see.
They get a little bit older, they start turning pink like this. And then when they get about 6 to 9 months old, they get their ring, then they start breeding. And they'll live to be 14 years old. Wow. There's no known disease to these worms. They never get sick.
And they'll just eat?
They just continuously eat as long as it's not too cold or too hot. They're continuously eating and breeding and making more worms. And they're a solution to our waste management problem.
Fun fact, fun fact, fun fact. Here's your fun fact. These worms are said to move from 7 to 18 tons of soil every year. Can you imagine how much waste would pile up if all the worms decided not to work?
And when we harvest an area, the second and third screen, the worms and the eggs that are small, we dump them in that hole, smooth it out, put manure on top, water it, and that's like in recovery there. And
Okay.
we're constantly moving all the time.
And you don't have to turn it. It just, they do all the work.
They do all the work, and you can notice, you know, like these beds are smooth. There's no highs and lows. There's millions of worms in here. Just unbelievable.
It's crazy.
You know? And they're making more all the time. So if it's gray, when it gets real hot, it's too hot.
So you
Now, here's a pair breeding right here.
Uh-oh.
There's a pair breeding here.
Oh, wow.
You got the rings are like stuck together. Now they'll each have an egg capsule, and there'll be about 7 average in each one. And they do that every 45 days. So if you've got 10,000 worms times 7, that's 70,000 every 45 days. You got 100,000, that's 700,000 worms every 45 days. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, the math is, whew, but I got
But
you.
there they
It's a
are, right
lot.
there.
What do worms eat?
Grass, leaves.
Dead stuff.
Minerals in the dirt.
Dirt or things in the dirt.
Soil. Worms eat pretty much the nutrients in the ground, and they also eat their own poop.
So Larry, what do worms eat?
Just about anything that's lived and died. They'll eat just about anything. They don't like citrus or high acid pine needles. They don't like that. But you need a container with holes.
So like they'll eat food, they'll eat grass, they'll eat what?
Table scraps.
I see you got this
grass
bucket right here,
clippings,
paper.
Cow manure, horse manure, rabbit manure. Chicken's a little bit too hot.
So this is what people can do at home.
You can
when
do
you're
it at
gonna show
home.
them.
Kids can do this. And
We
now
need-
the moisture will drain through those holes, and that's where
Oh, you got holes.
we
I
need
see.
holes.
Yeah, you see
And
the holes right there on the bottom.
Nita's going to drill a hole in there to
Okay.
show how just about an 1/8 bit and about 4 inches apart
Oh, I see. You got your
all
hole
around there, and
hole
that way it drains so it won't be too wet. You don't want it soggy, but just moist. And if you put the stuff in there. You can try experiment with your own stuff. You know, like you can start off with shredded newspaper and put that in there. Cardboard.
Wow. Cactus.
Cactus, cow manure, horse manure.
Oh, wait a minute, is that in there right now?
Yeah, that's all in there. So I need water. Who's got some water? Give me that water bottle behind
Yeah, water
you there.
bottle behind. So this is what people can do at home
You can
to
do
make
this
their
at
own-
home, and it's a lot of fun. Just put your worms in there. You can even just stick like this. Put some worms in there like that.
Oh, so we do.
Sprinkle the water
we got
on
worms.
there.
And we got worms in there.
And then after,
So is this like a composting a pile at home, or
they'll turn it into worm castings.
the point of this is to create worm castings?
Well, to create more worms and worm castings and for waste management. Now, let's say 1 million homes, instead of putting the garbage in the garbage disposal, takes a lot of water, a lot of electricity to push it to the sewage plant. Do this, you're saving a lot right there.
Okay, well now I'm thinking. Okay, so I have a lot more trash than just this. So do
You need
my
a bigger worm bed.
I need a bigger worm bed.
Yeah.
So my backyard now should be full of these
Well, you
huge.
can use boxes like that, or you can just put it like these right on top of the ground. They don't need no sides or
this right
nothing.
here.
Right on top of the ground.
So
That's all.
I'm basically like you said, control my own waste at this point.
That's right.
Anything
Now,
I-
they won't run away as long as you have a light on them, but they'll stay where the food and water is. You just don't water the outside. They'll stay in there, but when it rains, you have to have a light.
Wow.
Okay.
And so this eventually, everything that you stuck in here aside will be gone at some point.
They'll eat everything in there and make a real fine plant food called worm castings, which is amazing, and it makes plants grow like crazy.
What is worm casting?
Sending worms up? I don't know, like,
Worm poop? I don't know.
Disgusting.
When a worm sheds its skin and the leftover part's called the cast.
I think it's when they shed their skin or something.
Okay, worm casting is actually the holes made by the worms in the ground.
Kids.
Define what worm casting.
This is worm manure, the stuff that passes through the worm's body. That whole pile behind you, that's what that is.
That's a big worm. I'm just an observation.
It runs together. There's a few bigger pieces in there. But basically, the fine, that's where we got the harvest machine. The first green is the fine stuff that comes out.
Okay.
If you want, I can start that up and show you.
Yeah, you're gonna, I'm trying to wrap myself around this here. So at home, I can do this.
Yes.
And what I'm gonna do is make basically homemade compost.
That's right.
Homemade compost out of the stuff from my trash, basically, or my lawn, or my bushes, or whatever it may be, and to make this worm compost, or the castings that you're talking about, or worm poop.
Fun fact, fun fact, fun fact. Here's your fun fact. The secretion from earthworms contains nitrogen, which is an important nutrient for plants.
So when you put the big box, once everything's been deteriorated in our homemade box,
Right.
after it's all gone through that process, you would stick them in the beginning of this.
If you live close to me, you could stick it in here.
Come on.
Or if you don't have, you could just dump it on the table, brush off the top like I showed you there.
I mean, that's really fine
Right.
worm casting.
And it won't burn plants. It's all natural, no chemicals. It's natural and it works good.
So you just put this around your plants that you're
around it, or you can till it in with the garden.
That's very fine. But I'm holding worm poop essentially. I just kind of hard to get over that for some reason.
Fun fact, fun fact, fun fact. Here's your fun fact. Did you know baby worms are not born, but hatched from cocoons smaller than a grain of rice?
This is a worm capsule.
A baby worm coming?
This is a little, that's right there. You can see it right there. Okay. So we put these back in the bed, and then they'll hatch out and grow when they get bigger.
I got it now. So this you're using for your compost, your fertilizer.
Right.
This you're putting back in to grow new worms.
Right, and the big ones come out the end.
And the big ones you're obviously putting back in the pile too, right?
Well, no, the big ones we sell.
And or you could take the worms on the end, and you can put it back in your box to remake you some more.
But
worm
we have
casting,
enough
right?
that we don't need to do that.
But I'm just trying to think at home. Like,
yeah, at home, yes. So you could take half that box every 2.5 months, take half of it out and start another box.
Okay.
And just take it out and then maybe after 6 months, then get a lot of castings and just expand it and kind of build up your herd, so to speak, with more worms right there.
Now, let me ask you a question that I've not done this before. Does it smell? I mean, I'm taking my
No
trash.
smell. No smell here. There's no smell. A lot of people put these underneath their rabbit cages and what have you to keep the odors down. And there, you see, there's no odor here.
Yeah,
except when we get a big truckload of manure in, then it is.
Well, then it smells. But that's because of the manure, not because of the.
But everything is
eating.
fresh here.
Wow. Okay. That was pretty interesting. So we need to throw some more castings in, huh? Yeah. All right. We're gonna ship worms. Do you know how they ship worms? Have you ever mailed how do you mail a worm? I mean, seriously, you ever thought about that? Well, we need some more, Larry. All right, come on, guys. And girl, wait a minute, they're not guys and girls, right? They're, what are they? They're a worm.
Male, there's no male or female. They
What?
both have an egg. There's no male or female.
No male or female worm. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I'm almost done. What's with all these coffee cans? Do you have like, I don't know, do you have a tea can? You know, I never would have thought that these guys, they're green. I mean, we're talking about going green. These guys have been going green for years.
Right.
All right, so now we're gonna ship them, huh?
So now we'll put the worms in.
All right,
and the worms will go up to, Joel's hole opener. The worms in there will go up to about 1 7/8 pounds, as long as you don't go over 2 pounds. Okay?
All right. That's for shipping reasons, right?
Yeah, right. Okay, there it is now. She'll put a rubber band on it, they'll tape it up, ship them.
Ship them.
Right.
Wow.
Now, for the bait connection, we got plenty of worms, so if we give a little bit over, we don't care. We don't want you calling us at 3 in the morning saying you shorted us 5 worms. Okay?
You've never had anybody do that, have you?
I'm not going to comment. Okay. No, there it is. Here it is. There's 5 pounds of worms right there. Plus.
Now, what do we do with the rest of the worms?
Well, we'll dump them in these holding boxes over here, and that way we won't have to harvest them again. We'll have this like when you raise fish, holding tanks. Those are for the worms.
Okay.
Fun fact, fun fact, fun fact. Here's your fun fact. The giant earthworm of Australia can reach a diameter of 1 inch and a length of 10 feet.
This is where you're taking and putting them through the fourth, what is that called, the 4th generation?
4th dimension.
4th dimension. Why is it called the 4th dimension?
This is something it's the 4th dimension, okay? Okay, so
It's an inside thing. It's an
just
inside
go ahead
thing.
and put them other ones in. Then they'll go down, and when they're all down, you can just take it, throw it back there, and get the castings out of it.
Okay. So if I want to do this at home, the same process you just went through, right? Take a big box, cut holes in it, put my trash in there, and then put some moisture, water on there, cover it, and then in about what, how long will it take?
About 2.5 months, you can take half of that whole box out and start another box.
Okay.
And just keep doing that until you got a lot of castings, and you can harvest the castings on the table, let the sunlight drive them down.
And then I'll end up with great fertilizer that I can use on my garden, making my own homemade fertilizer. That's pretty cool. Well, Larry, this has been really interesting. Really interesting. Thank you. Shake hands. I got worm casting on my
I do
hand.
too.
You know what worm casting is, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So what we're going to do now is I think we're going to go see this being done at an elementary school. All right, so we're out at Mariana Elementary School in Apple Valley. Well, we're looking at backyard composting or backyard vermicomposting on a pretty large scale. I'm here with Mr. Clearing. Look at this, we got a factory line going on here. How's it going, guys?
Good.
How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good?
Good.
So tell us a little bit about your operation here.
Well, this is our compost area. What we got going here, these kids are making beds for our worms. And they're excellent at it. They're shredding up the paper, and the worms are going to crawl through that. And that's how they're going to get their water, and it's going to kind of protect them in our worm beds.
So the beds, worm beds, just regular newspaper.
Regular
Just cut them all
newspaper,
up.
shredded up. And it's probably the best use of it. And what's really nice is the worms use it to collect their water. And then when the newspaper decomposes, they eat it. So they sleep in their beds, they drink their water from their beds, and then they eat their beds.
So, I mean, we're at an elementary school. And how long have you had this program going here?
This is about a 10-year-old program that started with just a 1 compost pile. No worms, nothing.
So you had to turn it all the
Yeah,
time?
we turned it all the time, and we were only doing it to try to reduce our waste that was going to the landfills because we saw this as a problem. So we wanted to use all our lawn waste and our leaves in compost piles. We wrote a couple grants to the county. They gave us some money, and then we expanded. We expanded to our worm farm. We built our greenhouse. We built our garden.
It's your greenhouse.
And so far we've raised probably $30,000 in grant money to fund this program through environmental groups, and probably I would say at least 2,000 or 3,000 children have participated in this program over the years.
Now, Mr. Clearing, I must point out that these are awfully young laborers you have going on.
Yeah, I know it's a cheap workforce, and we do whatever we can here. We're not in the money-making business. We're just in the helping the earth business.
All right, so now after they shred all these papers, this is the first step to...
This is the first step. They make their beds, and what we do is we shred this on a regular basis, and then we store it. So that as we feed the worms, we always have bedding for them to use.
All right, so are you girls tired here? You're doing this all day? He's making you work all day, isn't he?
What do your hands look like?
Yeah, let me see your hands.
Look at those hands.
Hold
Those
camera.
are
Look at those
hands
hands.
of some shredders right
those
there.
are hard workers right
Those are
there.
hard working hands.
What's next?
Well, what's next is what we would do with this is we would store it, but what we also have to do is we have to harvest the worms, because as the worms make the vermicompost, they can't live in it. They have to live in the beds and in food, so we have to harvest the worms, take them away from their vermicompost.
What is vermicomposting?
It's a worm. Is it a worm?
Using vermin to break down trash for compost, like a fertilizer.
Mud.
Compost from the vermin?
When you take the soil and you mix it up, so then it can go into the ground easier and compost easier.
Well, what vermicompost is, as opposed to regular compost, it's compost that was made by these red worms, these red wigglers. So they are actually at the very bottom of the food chain. They eat after everybody else. In the worm soil that they're going through right now, there are about 28 different organisms that live in there. Most of them are microscopic, and they help the worms because they start to create the mold and the bacteria in the decomposing food. And the worms come along and eat that, and what they then digest is the vermicompost, what you're holding in your hand.
So the vermicompost then ends up, is
the worm's waste. That's in technical terms.
Okay.
That's what you got in your
or
hand.
worm casting.
Worm casting, that's another word for it. Right, exactly.
Or can we say, what is it really, guys? What is this really?
Well, it's soil. Soil that they can't.
Okay, everyone's being really kind about this. What is it really though, guys?
It's just a food. Is there poop?
Ah, there we go. It's worm poop.
Well, Blanca, that's a way to put it, isn't it? It's better to think of it as soil when you're digging through it, though, right? Yeah, it just helps you mentally.
Well, not that. Poop's a much better. Yeah. Soil. All right. So soil. So now, so you're separating out the worms right now, putting them in.
Yeah, they're putting the worms in these little beds that will then return to our big worm boxes.
Okay.
Then we take the soil and we collect that, which is then what we take over to our gardens.
Okay.
And they call this stuff black gold because if you were to go out and buy this kind of soil at, let's say, a landscape shop, it would cost you probably for a 5 cubic yard bag would cost you $15 or $20.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's really expensive. This is like super soil right here.
But it's really easy to make at home or at school.
It's easy to make at home. You can make this under your sink at home in a small container like this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's funny because this is what it starts off as, and this is what it ends up as.
That's what it ends up as.
How long?
How long does it take? It takes 1 pound of worms. They can compost a half a pound of garbage a day. That's the rate in which they do it. Wow. In our boxes here, we estimate that we have about 100 pounds of worms total. We started with 10. So that 10 has multiplied. We haven't bought any more. They lay eggs and they reproduce.
Fun fact, fun fact, fun fact. Here's your fun fact. Even though worms don't have eyes, they can sense light. They move away from the light and could become paralyzed for up to an hour if they're exposed to it for too long.
So these are the more worms, huh?
Yes, this is our bed that's really raging right now. Hold on here though, because this can be a little goopy in there.
Hey, they all have gloves on.
Those are my surgeons there.
And of course you got some for me, I assume?
No, none for you today. We don't. The new people have to get dirt down and dirty.
You're joking, right?
No, I'm not.
You're joking, right?
No, I'm joking. I'm not joking, man. It won't hurt you. I'll get the big bugs out of there for you.
I had my hand in this earlier, but not.
Yeah, not in this big. So we're going to move the paper aside.
Yeah.
And if you look down in there now.
Oh yeah.
Check this out.
Oh.
These are worms doing their work right now. And if you look at that, look at those babies.
Yeah.
They are going through there. This was last week's potatoes. This was last week's applesauce. Oh, look at that. and if you touched it, which I know you're not going to, you would feel how warm it is. Because as it's composting, it's producing, you got a little smell out of that. That's a little bit, but there they are. There's our red wigglers right there. And about 10,000 in a pound. And they can eat a half a pound of garbage a day. And on a good year, we'll compost 5,000 or 6,000 pounds of cafeteria garbage.
So how much does that mean? How much less are you putting in the trash can? I mean, obviously 5,000 to 10,000. Let's put that in like bags.
In bags, I would say probably 250 bags of garbage.
A year?
A year.
That's a lot.
That we're keeping out of the landfill.
That's a lot.
And that's just with this part right here, with what we're doing here.
And this isn't that, I mean, these aren't that big
these are
at
not
all.
that big. They're just amazing little animals. Amazing little animals. You know they have no teeth.
I learned a few things about them. There's no male or female.
Yes,
I didn't know they had no teeth.
They are hermaprophytes.
Hermaprophytes.
And they also have 5 hearts.
I didn't know
You
that.
didn't know that. They have 5 hearts that pump the blood through that. They have a small little rudimentary brain that holds their central nervous system, and they only have 1 of the 5 senses. What is it?
I'm gonna not taste, not smell,
not smell,
and not touch.
Touch. Because that's what keeps them alive. You're official now.
I'm official. Oh, and they live for up to 14 years.
Yes, they can. Amazing. Yes, amazing.
I want to thank Larry and everyone at Stagg's Worm Farm, and I especially want to thank the green team here at Marietta Elementary, and of course you, Taylor, for sending us on today's Curiosity Quest Goes Green. Now, if there's something that you're curious about, you gotta let me know. Go to kvcr.org, click on the Curiosity Quest link, and simply tell me what you're curious about. And it could be your thoughts that send us on our next green adventure. Now remember, this is our planet, and it's our responsibility to take care of it. So I'm curious, have you gone green?
We have!
I'm Joel Greene, and I'll see you next time. My goodness, look at all these dirty hands here.
Look
Look at these dirty hands. I gotta go to work. All right, green team, let's go to work.